It moves faster than all of our rockets, on a trajectory that guarantees it will never return. Its name is Visit Artri Ayatlas, a traveler from another star system who has just entered our cosmic space. And this is where the real madness begins. It accelerates. Something is pushing this object, and it is not just solar gravity. This strange acceleration, combined with its colossal size, has caused scientists to frantically search for an explanation. Its size must exceed that of Manhattan Island, around 20 kilometers, and in interstellar space, there is not enough rocky material to deliver such a massive object in less than 10,000 years. Numerous theories about its nature have already emerged, ranging from a new natural phenomenon to something far more extraordinary. The arrival of this messenger marks the beginning of our story in the silent, cold void of space, where something ancient and mysterious has just crossed an invisible boundary and entered our space. For only the third time in the entire history of observations, astronomers have confirmed that an object from another star system is currently passing through our cosmic region. It has officially been named 3I Atlas, but many have started calling it the Guest. The object was discovered by the asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Allard System, or ATLAS in Chile. This discovery immediately raised alarms in the astronomical community. The fact is, this was not just another blurry object in the sky. The initial calculations of its trajectory were so unusual and extreme that they had to be verified multiple times. The mathematics was undeniable. This object was on a hyperbolic trajectory. It was moving at an astonishing speed, exceeding 100,000 miles per hour, making it impossible for the sun's gravity to capture it. It came from the dark abyss between the stars and is doomed to return there, a temporary guest in an eternal journey. The previous two interstellar visitors, Oumuamua and Borisov, were true breakthroughs. They demonstrated that fragments from other planetary systems can, and indeed do, pass through ours. However, the Visitor 3I Atlas is on an entirely different level. The first images obtained by the Hubble Space Telescope hinted at its grand size. If Oumuamua was estimated to be several hundred feet long, the initial data on Atlas suggests that its solid core may be from 2 to 3 miles in diameter. For comparison, this is the size of a small mountain racing through space faster than any object ever launched by humanity. Many are already astonished by this fact alone. An object of such colossal size, having survived journeys through possibly millions of years of interstellar space, is a true wow factor. But size and speed are just the beginning. What no one is talking about is that the Guest began to behave strangely long before it was supposed to. Comets, which are essentially dirty snowballs, typically activate only when approaching the sun. Heat causes the sublimation of ice, leading to a direct transition from solid to gas, creating the magnificent coma or atmosphere we associate with it. Typically, such gas release begins in the orbit of Mars. However, the visitor has already demonstrated a weak coma while beyond the orbit of Jupiter, more than 6 times farther from the Sun than Earth. At that distance, sunlight is quite weak, and temperatures drop to hundreds of degrees below zero. Water ice must be firmly frozen, so what could have caused this activity? A space telescope named after James Webb was directed at the object, and what it discovered further complicated the mystery. Its coma was not predominantly water. On the contrary, it turned out to be surprisingly rich in carbon dioxide, with a ratio of about 8 parts carbon dioxide to 1 part water, which is one of the highest values ever recorded. This carbon dioxide ice sublimates at significantly lower temperatures, which explains the early activity. This was not an ordinary dirty snowball, but something like a cosmic bomb made of dry ice. Such a composition, an astonishing clue, a piece of its planetary world delivered right to our doorstep, suggests that wherever it formed, its planetary system could have developed in a completely different way than ours. This strange visitor is just beginning its journey, and the mysteries it conceals are much deeper than its chemical composition. Acceleration anomaly. As astronomers tracked Visitor 3I day after day, they noticed something that caused a sensation in the scientific community. It was not following the trajectory dictated by gravity. It was deviating, but not randomly. It was accelerating, moving away from the sun faster than expected. This phenomenon is known as non-gravitational acceleration, and it became the mystery that made our first interstellar guest, Oumuamua, so famous. However, it is not as simple as it seems. For a typical comet, this acceleration is easily explained. Gas release from the surface acts like tiny rocket engines, providing the comet with a light but constant push. The problem is that, although this object has a coma, the amount of gas detected is completely insufficient to explain the observed acceleration. It is like seeing a sailboat racing at full speed on a windless day. Something else is pushing it. This acceleration anomaly has become one of the hottest topics in astronomy, and scientists are hastily trying to find an explanation that fits the facts. One of the leading theories involves hydrogen, suggesting that while the object traveled through interstellar space for millions of years, it was constantly bombarded by cosmic rays. This high-energy radiation could have been breaking down water ice molecules within the object, creating and trapping molecular hydrogen H2 just beneath the surface. When it entered our system and warmed slightly, this trapped hydrogen could have been released in a jet. Since hydrogen is the lightest element and completely transparent, these jets would be entirely invisible to our telescopes. Nevertheless, they could provide enough thrust to explain the additional push. This is an extremely interesting explanation, as it is based on well-known physical principles. For an object the size of Oumuamua, this theory is quite applicable. However, for a body of enormous scale, like the Visitor, a colossal amount of trapped hydrogen would be required, which raises doubts about the validity of the model. There is another intriguing hypothesis suggesting that the Visitor is not a comet at all, but rather a nitrogen iceberg. Scientists have proposed that it could be a massive chunk of frozen nitrogen ejected from the surface of a distant exoplanet, similar to Pluto. The surface of Pluto is known for its extensive icy plains containing nitrogen. If a powerful impact occurred in another system, it could have expelled such fragments into interstellar space. A nitrogen iceberg could explain the absence of a visible water tail, and its sublimation could provide the mysterious thrust. This theory is particularly fascinating, as it suggests that we are not just observing a comet, but a fragment of the surface of an exoplanet, a sample of a world located hundreds or even thousands of light-years away from us. This is an astonishing possibility, opening a new window into the diversity of planets in our galaxy. However, a small but active group of scientists believes that these natural explanations overlook an important point: the very detail that does not match, a relic from another world. Every celestial body in space carries a chemical signature of its birthplace. By studying the light from the Visitor 3I Atlas, we can act as cosmic detectives, gathering clues about the star system it calls home. The extremely high concentration of carbon dioxide is our first significant clue. In our solar system, objects are typically classified by their formation location relative to the snowline, which indicates the distance from the sun, where it is cold enough for water to freeze. Objects formed closer are considered comets, while more distant bodies are icy. Even further out, where temperatures are low enough, substances like carbon dioxide and nitrogen freeze. The composition of the Visitor suggests that it may have formed in a region of its star system rich in carbon dioxide, possibly near the carbon dioxide snowline. This indicates that the architecture of its native system may differ radically from ours. This opens up a whole universe of possibilities. Perhaps it originated in a system with a much colder star, where the snowline is located closer. Or maybe it came from a system with a gas giant significantly larger than Jupiter, whose colossal gravity uniquely mixed the building blocks of planets. The guest represents a physical specimen of one of the billions of experiments in planet formation occurring throughout the Milky Way. The fact is that we can only study our own system up close, while every other star is merely a point of light. However, this object provides us with unique data. It is truly an astonishing discovery that is hard to underestimate. We are exploring the geology of a distant planet without leaving our homes. Some scientific models even suggest that this object could be extremely ancient, possibly older than the solar system itself. It may have formed from a star in a dense disk of the Milky Way, among populations of old stars, making it a genuine relic from beyond our galaxy. Developing the theory of an icy iceberg, if our guest is indeed part of an exoplanet, the conclusions become remarkable. This would mean that small, icy worlds, similar to Pluto, are found everywhere in the galaxy. It would also imply that violent collisions, which eject chunks of planets into interstellar space, occur quite frequently. The journey of this object could have been fraught with dangers. Over millions of years, cosmic rays gradually processed its surface, changing it from pristine white to the dark reddish-brown color that we observe in Oumuamua and other distant objects in our system. It tumbled through the void, a silent witness to cosmic violence and planetary evolution. Each new discovery we make about this object helps us piece together a picture of its history, a story written in molecules and sediments. However, the most sensational theory does not speak of natural origins, but of a possible artificial one. Are we missing a crucial detail? Here, the story takes a sharp turn from science to the thrilling realm of speculation. In the vast, silent theater of the cosmos, one expects certain rules to be followed. Comets, those dirty, icy snowballs, consist of predictable components: water, dust, and a mixture of frozen gases. Among these elements, two are almost inseparable: iron and nickel. They are like cosmic twins, born together in the tumultuous death of supernova stars. To find one without the other in space is like searching for a shadow without a person. However, it is not that simple. An unpredictable detail that left astronomers baffled emerged when they directed the Very Large Telescope of the European Southern Observatory at an object called Oumuamua. Using spectroscopy, a kind of reading of the chemical fingerprints of light, they analyzed the gas surrounding the core of the object. The results were, to put it mildly, unexpected. The instruments detected a clear presence of nickel, but iron, its cosmic twin, was absent, and there was not a single trace. This discovery was as shocking as seeing a human face and finding that it has no mouth. The results showed pure nickel, something you would expect to see on high-tech industrial equipment, not on a sublimating, ancient, icy stone sphere. When natural explanations begin to lose their persuasiveness, it is time to consider unnatural ones. Here, Avi Loeb, an astrophysicist from Harvard, once again takes the stage. He gained fame for suggesting that our first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, could be an extraterrestrial probe. For Loeb, pure nickel is not a chemical artifact, but a technological trace. In our engineering, pure nickel is a superstar. We use it for galvanizing to protect surfaces from corrosion and high temperatures. This element is an important part of the alloy used in spacecraft and nuclear reactors. Finding it in its pure form in nature is extremely difficult. However, it is quite common in factories. The hypothesis sounds both simple and alarming. What if the interstellar object known as 3I Atlas is not a comet at all? Perhaps it is a remnant of advanced technology, a probe, or even a fragment of a spacecraft that has wandered through the cosmos for millions of years. In that case, nickel does not represent a natural mineral, but is a coating of the hull, slowly evaporating under the influence of solar energy. This situation is directly related to Oumuamua. It also exhibited behavior that defied simple explanation, accelerating away from the sun as if something were pushing it. Loeb proposed the hypothesis that it was a solar sail. Now, 3I Atlas has become the second interstellar visitor to violate fundamental chemical principles. Many are struck by the patterns. Two strange objects in a row is no longer a coincidence, but a trend that is hard to ignore. The first broke the rules of motion, and the second broke the rules of chemistry. Perhaps our galaxy is full of such technological relics, ancient probes that wander through the vastness of space. Should we consider every unusual object in the sky a natural phenomenon, or are we open to other interpretations? What do you think the Visitor 3I Atlas truly represents? Share your thoughts in the comments below.